Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fifth preparatory webinar for members and partners of the local governments and municipal authorities constituency, taking place on 26th October today, Thursday, at 10 and 16 o'clock Central European Standard Time. My name is Jisun Hwang. I'm Senior Climate Advocacy Officer at ICLEI World Secretariat. I will be the facilitator of today's webinar, and on behalf of ICLEI, I would like to extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you. Before we start, let me give you a quick technical introduction of today's webinar. First of all, you're automatically in the muted mode, and I would like to kindly ask you to remain muted till the end of all the presentations today for a smooth proceeding of today's webinar. Secondly, if you have any questions during any time of the webinar, there is a function in the webinar panel that you can where you can type your questions, and then these questions will be then addressed when the presentations are over. Last but not least, this webinar is being recorded, and at the end of this webinar, this recording will then be shared with all the participants in line with the principle of transparency. With that, I would like to introduce today's panelists. First of all, let me introduce Mr. Yunus Arikan. He is the head of global policy and advocacy at ICLEI World Secretariat. He is also the local governments and municipal authorities constituency focal point to the UNFCCC. With that, I would like to start today's webinar. We have another panelist who might or might not join us today, depending on her schedule. That is Ms. Susanne Nolden. She is a city government official at the city of Bonn. She works in the areas of international affairs and global sustainability. Now, with that, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Yunus Arikan. Yunus, over to you.
Hi, Jisun. Thank you very much for this introduction. As you mentioned, today we will have the introduction on the updates only through me. For those who are familiar with the COP preparations, the host cities are always in dire urgencies for the last couple of days, and therefore Susan Nolden kindly excused herself, and we definitely said that of course it is understandable. In case any questions may arise from the floor that we cannot answer, we should definitely be reaching out to her. So that I just wanted to add as well. We hope this could be helpful for the last rounds of preparations for all of us. We would, as usual, we will cover what has happened since the last time we met, and then we will go through the details of this time, some of the latest updates from the activities and documents and plannings for the COP and the agenda of local and regional governments. Since our call was 6th of October, in between the most important event that took place in the global climate process was the pre-COP 23. Those who are familiar with the process, this is an informal gathering of the ministers who are expected to agree in the outcomes of the COP at the end of the year. So the practice or the tradition is that they meet in advance, at least they share views on what to expect, their priorities, so that any surprises are prevented, or if possible, any consensus can be built in advance. As practice, every COP presidency invites the observer constituencies, and this year Marrakesh partnership also contributed to this process, because as you know, for a long time this agenda is advancing. So before the ministerial roundtables or ministerial discussions, there was a one-day event or two-day event called Partnership Days, which was mainly an opportunity to exchange updates, and we were very glad that at the opening session on Grand Coalition, local governments and municipal authorities constituency was represented by Maimuna Sharif, mayor of Penang Island, and in Malaysia. She's also a member of the Global Executive Committee. And we also had Steve Gowler from ICLE Oceania, Regional Director, to intervene in the sessions where partner constituencies have been exchanging views on the expected outcomes of COP. And the interventions on that front by Steve were mainly based on the declaration, draft declaration. We'll go through it in advance. The interventions of Maimuna Sharif, Mayor Sharif, was particularly well received as she was connecting the concrete actions local and regional governments are taking, and COP presidency has already been, in that sense, have always been supportive of this efforts, and we look forward to active engagement and towards the COP and in COP, especially building the ground coalition with all non-party stakeholders where we as local and regional governments are taking active role. Now, in the next couple of slides, I would be sharing with you the screenshots or the pictures of the program booklet that we just released at the beginning of this week. So those who have downloaded this document can easily track or follow us from that. We will also share the link as well. For us, this was an opportunity to capture all what we have been prepared for. And we believe this booklet, which will be also available in print at COP in the Cities and Regions Pavilion, will help all our partners to follow or find themselves in the very hectic agenda of the COP23. As a guidance, what I can share with you, our understanding is that, of course, let me address that I've been following this events for a couple of years. This I can imagine, or I can definitely say that this is one of the most busiest COPs I have ever been in that sense, especially the action area or bond zone is full of series of events, especially condensed in a couple of days. We will just go through it again in a couple of slides. But also it's outside the cities, also very, very busy activities taking place. So our first recommendation, wherever you are planning to attend or wherever you're going, whatever you're planning, first of all, ask where this event is taking place, because the event venue this time particularly shapes the engagement and participation, because access limitations or access restrictions or access conditions are different. First, we know we have the Bula zone for the last couple of years. This has been not too much active for our engagement. We are still are registering our participations or delegations. We will deliver interventions in various slots and various opportunities. Nevertheless, there is a tendency to have observer constituency inputs via mainly pre-prepared texts uploaded on the website. So while we look forward to a number of other engagements, Bula zone would this time be relatively less hectic. That's our assumption, and majority of our time, energy and mobilization will be in the bond zone. In the bond zone, the list of events that you can be aware of is that definitely the Marrakesh Partnership. We will go through it. Between 10 and 15th of November will be a very, very peaked period. Throughout the 2 weeks of the conference, we will have the local cities and regions pavilion. On the Sunday, where Bula zone is closed, by Bond zone is open, we will have the climate summit of local and regional leaders. And in various venues of the Bond zone, we are hearing there will be numerous events. We will try to touch upon this as well. And outside the city, outside the Bond zone, especially in the premises of BMZ, the German Minister of Development Cooperation and Minister of Environment, the GOP Theater, Climate Action Dome at the Deutsche Post Tower, Kamea Grand Hotel, Kunstmuseum, and Bundeskurshalle. These are the popular destinations where a number of meetings are taking place. The important thing is that those hosts do not ask for an accreditation to Bond zone or Bula zone. Obviously, this is not UN area, but because of the unique conditions, it could be a pre-registered event, it could be by invitation only, it could be fee-based. So please check where are you attending, and of course which date, and check whether your accreditation documents or registration documents are available with you. This is the most important recommendation we have. In the program booklet that we circulated, and when you will come into Bonn, you will see it, we try to track those events in the Bula zone as much as possible through the blue coded activities. The ones in the Bonn zone are coded as red, and those outside the Bonn zone, especially the city of Bonn, they are marked as gray. That's the legend of the booklet that we have produced. One important of the preparation to activities and the COP is, of course, which event is taking place, and Bonn zone is also a very well designed, more or less a small village. And for those who had participated in COPs, this is not extremely different, especially over the last couple of years. The UNES Secretariat has ensured that the venues are identical in terms of the layout or the structure, so that people can easily find themselves. So for this year, in the Bula zone, sorry, in the Bonn zone, which is in the Garden of Rheinaue, which will be having public transport, free public transport for Congress participants, the drop-off zone will have the bus shuttles leaving the visitors at the drop-off zone. There will be internal bus shuttles, electric vehicles as well. So after the main entrance and registration area, on the right side, you will find the country pavilions or party pavilions, which is also hosting a number of events, especially the EU pavilion, China pavilion, Japan. These country pavilions are full of events for local and regional governments, or cities and subnational authorities or territorials. On immediately when you enter to the entrance, you will find the food court. On the left, when you start to scroll, the first part is the most active ones, and we are very happy to announce that Cities and Regions Pavilion is in fact the first exhibit space when you come to this big pavilion area on the right side or on the left side, which is mainly the civil society area. Just behind us, you would find the Talanoa zone, where there will be a number of events organized by German and Fiji presidency and Fiji government and German government. These are different from what they also have as a Fiji and German pavilion, so please don't confuse this. So Talanoa exhibit is just behind Cities and Regions Pavilion. Once you pass through the Cities and Regions Pavilion, so in that sense, we can definitely say that the participants of the COP are welcomed by cities and regions. That's also nice to feel. You will find a number of exhibit area. These are the traditional UNSCC exhibits with 5-meter squares with screens and desks available. And these are shared by organizations on a weekly basis. Here, when you start to walk through the corridors or the alley, then you enter into the meeting room zones. So the colors, rectangulars and spheres, show you the type of the meeting rooms. So rectangular meeting rooms are mainly round tables, which means that the setting is around the tables, and big real meeting rooms like number 6, 7, 8. These are the plenary or theater style, which means there's a podium and then there's an audience. This can give you also the expectations. On Sunday, 12th of November, the city's local and regional leaders summit will primarily take place in room 8 throughout the day, and there will be a broadcast or transmission to room 6 for those who cannot access because of the space limitations. During the day, there will be one plenary, one meeting that will not be broadcasted, but we will come through that later on. So meeting room 8, meeting room 6, Cities and Regions Pavilion are the core corners for us during the summit. But once again, let us recall, on Sunday, when we are gathering our summit, this space will be open to all participants who are accredited to UNFCCC. Therefore, we will not be the only one who are having meetings. We will not be, in that sense, first of all, good news that we will not be alone. There will be others. Very likely that the more they hear about presence of mayors and governors, they will join us. But we have to be also respecting the pre-registered participants and also priority leaders and speakers and partners as well. So this gives you the space location wise. There's a second entrance where you can also take exit and then walk to the zone Bula, which is the negotiations area. The next agenda, for those who listen to our webinars, we start always with the UN agenda. Now the agendas are now updated. There are specific technical meetings, mandated events. There are special workshops that is before the COP starts on the Saturday and Sunday. These are all, of course, will be shaping the outcomes, especially regular meetings of the conference bodies, but also the Paris Agreement implementation process as well. And as LGMA partners, we will try to influence or at least share our contributions to the extent possible. A couple of days ago, there was a request from the UNFCCC and an invitation to Climate Action Institute interviewers. And based on the feedback we received from our members, we have nominated 5 names. This process is an ongoing process. The Secretariat is approaching the nominees, and they are limited with 5 per constituency. And then they are scheduling their interviews. For those, due to the space limitations, we have to limit ourselves, and we try to ensure a regional balance, institutional balance, a balance of experts, but also leaders. So I think we have reached to a fairly good diversity in that list. But one thing that I would like to encourage you is that this is a unique process, a new innovative process. So the Secretariat has pre-prepared certain questions, and we would like to also share with you. We will not go through all of it, but when you receive the presentation, you can go through it, and we can also share with the LGMA mailing list. There were very interesting, very good summary of questions that could be very helpful for our preparations about what to expect from this COP, how to come in, how to feed to the next round. So these were good questions, especially clarifications on the process-related engagement and possible interventions into the design of the space. As you may have followed from the mailings that we have been sharing over the month, Global Climate Action Marrakesh Partnership is coming with a strong agenda and strong inputs. The documents are just released. The website is updated. Now, what we are aware is that there is a yearbook of action. There is a synthesis report for policymakers, and there is a full week, no, that's not full week, but 5 days of an intensive agenda that will start on the first week, 10th of November, Friday until Tuesday, 14th. The first 3 days will be thematic, technical, and the last 2 days will be more high level in terms of ministerial engagement and much more, let's say, clustered debates, which is focusing on 2 SDGs, but as well as finance, resilience, and innovation. This screenshot you have seen is just trying to give you the preparations from the Secretariat side. We will share with you the links for those who have not received it, but it is an unbelievably intense series of events. And in that sense, we'd like to congratulate the Secretariat and all the participants that contribute, which are called as content group, to the Marrakesh Partnership sessions and events. So we look forward to an exciting dialogue, a very dense marathon, and we believe, or we hope, the champions will help us to feed the outcomes to the negotiators, especially in the bridging the policy or negotiations world to the action world or the ground level action, so that the reality can be both supported, strengthened, but also the reality can be heard in the negotiation corridors as well. The closing of this, so all these events will be in the bond zone. Those who have access to bond zone, they will be able to enter. Of course, space limitations apply. On 15th of November, a special event will be held at the Bula zone, where the target audience is, in that sense, not necessarily the partners or actors, but mainly the negotiators, so that they are informed what has happened throughout the year, but as well as in the last couple of days. This screenshot again is a summary of the events. As we said, the full agenda calendar of Marrakesh Partnership is around 9 pages long in total. It was not impossible for us as ICLEI to insert all these events list into our publication or program booklet, but we wanted to extract at least those that could be the most relevant ones, especially in the sense the organization of these events by the networks or content group or the LGMA members, for specifically on human settlement on Saturday 11th, but also on SDG 11, on cities on the Thursday, on the Monday. Obviously, as we have mentioned, in particular in some cross-cutting areas like transport, energy, of course, resilience, ocean, there will be a number of debates, finance especially, and resilience. So in all these events, we hope to see prominent, active, and passionate leaders. The contact group participants are now in consultation with Secretariat, with the guidance from the champions, to schedule appropriate names with appropriate gender and regional balances. Some of them have translation, some not. This also influenced the participation, but you can notice at least that the diversity and the depth of discussions has significantly advanced over the past years. There's much more now frame and focused and targeted activities. The yearbook will provide us some overview of what has happened so that we don't repeat this, but now here we discuss what do we want to do next and which different themes, and also the selection of themes from SDGs to specific topics like waste, which was not too much discussed, or health to governance. These are all the topics that will be very debated, and we are very happy to see this now expansion of the dialogues. Now let's slowly come to our own agenda, which is the event that traditionally local and regional governments are gathering to the regional the Leaders Summit. Just to recap, this has been a process started immediately almost after the conclusion of COP, when Germany was announced as or Bonn was the seat of the Secretariat, was announced as the host of the summit, or COP, but Fiji as the presidency. Especially over the summertime, we have circulated with the Global Advisory Group a number of invitations, which was more than 1,600 all around the world. So our goal was to make sure that a balanced representation and diversity. As of today, we can say that 275 local and regional governments all around the world have registered to the summit. This is around 1/3 of the whole interested participants. This is also reflecting the level of participation to this event, and the number is also not just the number, but the diversity and the increased representation of some of the regions who have never been visible in this processes. I think this is really exciting, to giving us the courage that we are expanding the dialogue. So there are new actors, new peers coming. Therefore, we are excited to welcome this huge delegation. And of course, while we are now aware that it will be a one-day summit, we are also aware there will be a number of events, special Marrakesh Partnership and side events. So registered participants or accredited participants, especially the Bond Zone, will have the opportunity to follow other events as appropriately. The agenda has not changed too much. We will start with a welcome reception on Saturday evening by City of Bonn. Then the whole day will be in the Bonn zone, and in the evening there will be a final reception by the state of North Rhine-Westphalia in the Rhine Energy Boat. One important change, due to the extreme number of requests for interventions and the topics to be covered, we have created now a slot in the afternoon after the lunch break with a parallel session, and there will be a focused debate on the part is on community engagement, and the second part is on the investment in cities and regions. This is the only new agenda that has been evolved since the last time we have talked and we have discussed. We want to make it a very lively day, and we would like to make it as much as interactive as possible. We have a diverse list of speakers, and the diversity of the speakers and in terms of regions and the representations of the different levels of government is particularly exciting. Our spatial addresses are also confirmed as of now. We have been informed that in addition to our co-hosts, we will have Governor Braun, Bertrand Piccard, Minister Hendricks of Germany and Minister of Environment, Minister Müller, Vice President of European Union, co-chair of the Global Covenant, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Patricia Espinosa, and Prime Minister of Fiji, Bainimarama, we are all expecting them to come, and as you can always expect, these high-level delegations have always can be exposed to some last-minute changes, but these names, we are now excited to have them speaking in appropriate slots, and depending on the agenda, as we have mentioned before, full list also program is now being released by next week. We can also see the diversity of the discussions and the speakers in this program. The summit will be concluded with a declaration or a outcome document. This was open for inputs after the first let's say pre-zero order draft was discussed by partners, and then this was shared also with the participants, registered participants, and we also shared this final version as of 16th of October to all the registered participants once again. Between 2nd of October and until that one, we have received significant inputs in terms of strengthening the language, strengthening the scope, and clarifying and making it much more clear. But we are now confident that we are still receiving inputs, and the text will be also printed next week. But we are now clear that we will have 20 action-oriented statements, and we hope to announce 20 initiatives towards 2020 and beyond. And these action-oriented statements are focused on two distinct sections. The first one is those actions that local and regional governments can take on their own without necessarily linking or limited with the decisions or agreements of the Paris Agreement, due to our public authority power, due to our mandate as government authorities. We are already taking step forward, and the first part of the declaration specifies how we will advance on these areas. The second part of the declaration will primarily focus on our calls and positions on selected agenda items on the UNFCCC, but also in broader UN context. The text, we wanted to make it as smooth as possible, but you always have to make a trade-off between being too simple and also being too specific and too technical and too detailed. So here is the highlights of the first part of the commitments, how we particularly focus on climate action, but in the second part, we also expand our outreach in the sense that we not only focus on selected parts of mitigation or some countries, we also cover all the elements of a sustainable development agenda. We expand our transboundary partnerships, and this holistic and inclusive summit, inclusive climate action, is now the new era of our we are prepared for. Specific calls or propositions for the negotiations, of course, refers to the NDCs. As of today, we know that NDCs are not enough. Both the way they were prepared and the they were implemented are unique experience, and we would like this to be better integrated with our contributions and an engagement, both in its design and its implementation. And of course, the realities of the urban world, together with our implementing capacity, should be taken on board, especially in raising the NDCs higher, and especially vertical integration of our activities and our plans should be a core topic in the 2018 facilitative dialogue. And we also believe that's not a one-off event, but the facilitative dialogue, in fact, starts at home. So the national governments, when they leave Bonn, they should give us clear indication that they will work with us. We will be opened to the process, and we would like to work especially with like-minded countries. Of course, these are all political decisions. Some political positionings are a bit more, or they have different styles, but we look forward to an active engagement across the world and different parts of the world. We also wish to see increased processes in terms of financing. This is a roadmap that we have started in Marrakesh. We would like to advance on that. We would like to express through this declaration our sincere appreciation to the presidencies of COP, both the outgoing and incoming and the next ones, for the high-level champions which have dedicated a certain amount of time and energy. Secretariat in particular enabling this event to be hosted in the UNFCCC premises for the first time in the history, and also the Marrakesh partnerships or the partners. And we also would like to underline that what is being discussed here in Bonn will not be limited here, but as a big UN reform agenda is ongoing in the UN Secretary General. So what is going discussed here will go further into the next steps. During this couple of weeks and months, we had been asking input from the Global Advisor Group and the LGMA constituency partners to share with us their inputs for initiatives that they would like to share. We do not want to leave this summit just by adopting declaration or just sharing good practices. We want this to kick off a number of other events and other processes. We can definitely be proud that there is a number of initiatives, especially on Africa, financing, islands, major processes like Global Covenant of Mayors, new initiatives, new actors like planners, has come up with our members or partners. A number of those initiatives are still being discussed. We are informed. There will be some updates. So the good news is that we were expecting to come up with around 20 initiatives, and so far it seems we are able to reach that. In between, if there's any additional initiatives that you want to share, we would be happy to talk and work with the host committee and the program committee how to engage this. Of course, the challenge is that some of those events or some of those initiatives will already be announced either before the summit or after the summit, and we still would like to honor and recognize them, and some of those initiatives will be able to be presented verbally or in visual aspects. Our teams are working on it. We all are realistic that we cannot go on the details of all of this, but we believe the key message is that this is our contributions for concrete actions, refreshed, renewed, and inspired by new ideas and existing commitments. So we'd like to congratulate all our partners who have worked on this process and now excited to share their events, and we will be happy to raise the voice of these initiatives throughout the COP. And of course, this comes us to the next slide. A core area of activities will be the Cities and Regions Pavilion, which will be open for 13 days. It is an area which has around 60 seats of capacity. The session slots are designed for 1.5 hours intervals, including entrance and leaving the room. we have received huge applications. There were some events and some partners who we were not able to address, especially because there are limitations with the times and the speakers availability. But we are able to also offer this as an option, that some of the entries of the UNFCCC exhibits, or sorry, side events, are also now will be held in this event. All these partners who host their side events, their event information would be visible on the UNFCCC homepage as an entry of pavilion space. And we are hoping that this will be a good opportunity to convey our messages, but we also know that there will be other events taking place in different venues. Our program booklet as a good summary of this, and we want you to go through that, especially the dates between 8th or 9th of November until the 15th of November is the peak day, as similar to the Marrakesh Partnership agendas. With this, I know I was a bit more, and this time it was probably a bit more boring with having too much taking the time, but I thank you for your interest. Now in the next couple of minutes we can go through any questions or inputs or additional remarks. Jisun, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yunus, for the informative presentation. And then, in the meantime, we've received 3 questions touching upon various aspects of your presentation. So let me go through them one by one. All of them have been raised by Sandra. First one is on logistics of the bond zone. So who are the VIPs? Who can enter the VIP coffee areas that was mentioned during your presentation in the bond zone? And the second question is on summit registration. We missed the deadline. Can you help me get 3 accreditations on behalf of R20? And the last question from Sandra is on the contact person for the initiative. So how can we put our initiative on the list? Who is the appropriate contact for that?
Thanks, Sandra, for these questions. First of all, the VIPs are the ones who are political leaders that has been circulated in the list of participants so far, and the global partners here you have seen, both national, regional, global. They're high-level executives, and we want to be selective in terms of the number so that we can make a realistic engagement. We will be circulating additional information on the partners in that front, but the 270 local leaders who are in the list of participants will be announced as VIPs, plus high-level executives of the partners whom logos are displayed here. That's our primary goal. Regarding accreditation, I am not too much positive because we have been going through significant difficulties. Those who are available are aware. They may know that this is the deadline is rapidly getting closer. So I don't think we will be able to be responding to this in a positive sense. In the terms of initiatives, we always gave the address as cop23.com at icle.org, so that you can send your inputs to this address so that we can continue to exchange ideas.
Thank you, Yunus. We have another question from Changmuk. He asks if the Cities and Regions Pavilion would be a suitable place for networking amongst city delegations.
That has been the idea, of course. While there are slots in the closed area, we are not expecting participants outside to come into the meeting room and disturb the audience, of course. So the closed space will be preserved as closed. The exhibit space is open. We would encourage you, of course, would like to meet with your friends. I'm just going to the layout. There is a significant space in front of us, and because it's the proximity to the entrance, you can easily announce this as your meeting venue, and then you can proceed to a cafeteria area or whatever. You can feel that this is an area that is much more like your home and bond zone in that sense.
Thank you, Yunus. Jungmook has raised another question regarding the summit registration confirmation. He wonders if the confirmation process is still ongoing and if it would be possible to share badges with colleagues for those whose attendance is not confirmed.
Attendance is not confirmed.
So I wonder if the confirmation for the registration is still ongoing. Would it be possible for those
Yes.
who are not confirmed to share the badges with colleagues?
We are still processing both confirmations, and because of the huge number of interest, we are both once again checking how access to the event will be made possible, and accreditation process also is ongoing. The pickup badge. So I mean, the badge is accreditation is in by person, individualized, but access to the once you access to the zone, when you want to enter to the room, depending on the capacity, you may share this tickets. That's what we are planning for. But to the bone zone accreditation is personalized, so you cannot share this bone zone accreditations. But to follow the meetings, you can share their tickets. Yes.
Thank you, Yunus. So far, that is that is all the questions that we have received on the questions panel. I don't see any hand raised to take the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now opened the floor. So if you have any questions, you now have the chance to address the questions yourselves by raising the hand, and I will give you the floor. At the moment, I don't see any more requests to take the floor from the floor. Yunus, is there anything that you left out just in case you wanted to have some more for the interaction, and you may raise them, you may float those at this moment, I believe.
Well, I think we are all now stressed over the last minute preparations. Just one reminder, in case you are looking for accommodation, we have a couple of rooms still available. For those who need this, they can approach us. Especially, I mean, the best address is cop23.bon@icle.org. Especially between the dates 9 to 13, there have been some cancellations or some reservations that are now open. We could check this availability. Our teams are happy to work with you, so you can consider this. Other than that, we thank you all for your partnership, collaboration. It seems to be one of the remarkable events that we will all be collectively contributing and hoping that this will also support our work at home, at our cities and our territories. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jisun, for your help as well.
Thank you, Yunus. And with that, if there's no other questions from the audience, I believe this is the end of our webinar today. So as a reminder, this webinar has been recorded, and upon closure of this webinar, this recording will then be shared with all those who registered for this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for your participation.